What do you think about Witch Queen as well? What do you think?
Oh man. So when they had the reveal for Beyond Light and for the other two expansions that came out afterwards, when they did the full timeline of video stuff that was going over all of Destiny's history, I was like, they're not just going to end this with Beyond Light. That's basically filling this with nothing. I was like, okay, so maybe they'll do the expansions afterwards. I was expecting the expansion after Beyond Light. I was not expecting also to know about Lightfall. I was not expecting Savathun to be on the docket. You should have heard, like, the expletives I shouted in this room when I saw that. Like, oh my god. That was possibly the most exciting part of the entire reveal for me as a massive lore nerd, is basically just sitting there and saying, like, yes, it's happening.
Yeah, there's something about the Witch Queen. Like, I'm probably like a 9 out of 10 for Beyond Light, but something about the Witch Queen, maybe it's the name, the Taken King, the Witch Queen. I'm seeing parallels, but like, there's something about the concept of the Witch. Obviously, it's Savathun, it's the Taken, it's the Hive. It's Savathun at this point is probably the biggest, baddest enemy,
enigmatic foe we've ever seen in the universe.
I mean, she outranks anyone at this point. She is the biggest, baddest enemy, the most teased. I think it's so. I love how in even Forsaken, how this is the first expansion we lost. Like, Savathun won. Like, she played us.
Yeah, Dreaming City.
We didn't beat the big bad boss. This is the first time in Destiny history where we didn't beat the big bad boss that was not even on the cover expansion. We didn't really know about her, but she was there and she won. Like, Guardians lost Forsaken. We didn't win. Like, we think we beat Riven, but technically we completely lost, and we're now
we played right into her hands.
Yeah, we're feeding her loot farm. She's basically got the Guardians on an infinite loot farm, and she's just farming us for power. But I'm sure we're gonna break that by using the darkness and killing her next year in Witch Queen.
I mean, we'll see when it comes down to all of that, but ultimately, dude, the entire freaking thing for me, I almost don't want to speculate about it. Partly because I feel like speculating leads nowhere when it comes to Savathun, except for Imbaru, where
she's impossible to understand. Yeah.
If Imbaru is true, then we're just making her theoretically more powerful by doing that. But when it comes down to it, ultimately, her story could go in so many directions. Like, she could come into the system full tilt with a war moon, and that could be our new destination. You know,
just a war moon.
Like,
what even is a war moon? What does a war moon look like?
So you know Luna, our moon right now, and how it's all burrowed out in the fortress? Imagine that, but it moves independently of gravity and whatnot, and can just be dragged along by the Hive fleets. That's kind of a war moon.
That could be a location, maybe? Like the Dreadnought?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Honestly, that's what I think. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, like, if Luna is a place where the Hive have been there for a few hundred years and that's what they've made, imagine a place where the Hive have been for millennia upon millennia, for 1,000 years.
She had that for a long time. She had that when she broke up with Oric, not broke, when they split off. They all went in the directions and...
Yes.
Like, here's a war moon.
Yeah, when she fled into the Singularity. So here's the other thing as well. She took her brood into the Singularity, and if she took a war moon with her, which I can't remember... Like, I need to reread the Gift Mast card in order to do that, but... if she brought a war moon or two with her, or if she brought any kind of display of force, all of a sudden you have this world that has been transformed by the Hive over millennia. Imagine a world that is literally dedicated to war and nothing else. Like, essentially, imagine a mix of the Dreadnought, the Moon, Crota's Throne World, and everything in between that's been vaguely touched by the Hive, except it's turned up to 11, given steroids, dumped in a trash can full of acid, shaken about a bit, and then dumped onto the stage and been like, behold this monstrosity. Like, that's what it could be. Like, it might not even be spherical like a typical moon. Like, they could have, like, literally carved an entire chunk out of it, and it could just be this barren floating husks, like, pulling itself through the system. And that's the other thing. Like, if that's the level of power that she's bringing to bear, that would be awesome. But Savathun is also potentially very subtle. And so Witch Queen could be an entire expansion that is all about just the deception of Savathun on a grand scale and in every single facet of Guardians' lives. And, you know, there are seeds still that have been planted quite clearly, but seeds that are terrifying to behold. So... like the Savathun song, the viral chant that clearly has infected Lord Shaxx, and also Eris, and a whole bunch of other people in between. Yeah, no, that's scary because it's one of those moments where we don't even know if we can trust our allies, because if Savathun's song is a viral chant that then works like the Crown of Sorrow, where it can literally turn them against us, suddenly we'd be 1v1ing Shax. We'd be fighting Eris. We'd be fighting Saint 14 because he's heard it too now. Like,
and we've all heard it, so is everyone gonna?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we are in a real frickin' state because we have so many ways in which Savathun could just toy with us. And that's terrifying. Like, I think this is one of the first enemies where I would genuinely contemplate that the conclusion of the expansion is that we only sort of vaguely drive her back and we don't actually defeat her. I think that's genuinely how it might pan out, because I don't see us being able to beat Savathun. I see the raid as being this kind of epic attempt to just sort of stop her and to halt her plans, or maybe throw her into some kind of stasis.
Curia.
You know? Yeah, it could be killing Curia and then preventing her hold over the Taken, and thus maybe destroying some of her plans that involve them. Like, I don't think we'll see Savathun as a final boss, though. I really don't.
So you don't think... Yeah, interesting.
I do not think that they will ever put Savathun in as a final boss. And the reason I say that is because I think she's way too smart. If she is not as foolish and cocky as Oryx was, I don't think she's ever going to be drawn into a 1v1 confrontation with Guardians unless there's truly a terrifyingly powerful other force that pulls us into confrontation. Unless the darkness literally says, I'm plopping you two in an arena, prove who's better with the sword logic, I don't think there's any way that we're fighting Savathun.
Interesting. Yeah, because I was wondering that. I was thinking, like, is Savathun going to be the raid boss of next year? Like, but is that... I mean, 'cause obviously a raid boss is the highest honor of the biggest, baddest enemy, but is even that worthy? Because they've hyped up Savathun more than any enemy ever, more than Oryx. Like, it's been... Savathun is the biggest looming ominous threat, so... How are they going to pay her? She's obviously not going to be a campaign boss, but even a raid boss, you know, like you're saying, I agree. I would be surprised.
I think it's very much going to be. I think you're right on the money with Coria. Yeah, I think that
that'd be a way to loosen her plans.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's basically in the lore now. We know that it's the way that she controls the Taken. And so when we're fighting against any of her forces, I wonder whether we'll even see her at all. Like. You know, there is so much mystery to her, and I just don't know where it ends.
I mean, I just love how
even after we've...
Okay.
Yeah, even if we quote-unquote kill her, I won't trust that she's gone. I won't trust that she's dead.
Yeah.
I just won't believe that we've killed the actual Savathun.
Or if she appears, is it the real her? Never know. She's master of trickery.
Exactly.
But I mean, I just love how even Curia, we heard about it back in Taken King, the Book of Sorrows. The fact they put that enemy in there so long ago, and now it's an enemy we might face 5 years later. Like, that is the kind of storytelling, like describing Curia in the Book of Sorrows in 2015, and then finally getting it as a raid boss in Witch Queen or whenever. That is the kind of long term. I mean, I wonder when we are going to kill Savathun.